I recently renewed my Netflix subscription after canceling it back in January of this year for two reasons. The first being I wanted to watch the new season of I Think You Should Leave, and the second being I wanted to rewatch Inside Job for a video I was making. I've grown pretty tired of Netflix's content and with their approach when it comes to handling new projects. I voiced a lot of my frustrations with Netflix in the video I did covering Inside Job's cancellation, and I really thought that was going to be the end of it, that I wouldn't talk about Netflix until something new caught my eye on the platform. But as it just so happened, in the sea of mediocrity that is Netflix, something did in fact catch my eye. Mulligan, a brand new adult animated comedy series about humanity trying to start over after surviving an alien invasion. I really liked the premise for this show, and better yet, it featured a pair of creators who had worked on projects that I really enjoyed in the past, like 30 Rock and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, with the former example being one of my favorite shows of all time. And the cherry on top of all of this was the fact that Tina Fey was one of the main characters. I thought to myself, maybe Mulligan could capture the same magic that 30 Rock did so many years ago, bringing the same irreverent charm and blown-up goofy characters that made that show so memorable. Netflix is a big platform after all, and occasionally they can put out high-quality content like Arcane, for example, or even Inside Job prior to its cancellation. Sadly though, after watching all 10 episodes of Mulligan, I can say with full confidence that this is not a diamond in the rough, but rather just another confusing mess that further damages my confidence in Netflix originals. Mulligan is a show that lacks any kind of discernible direction or focus. The premise for the show is really fun and interesting. Humanity having to rebuild with a limited cast of flawed and goofy characters to run things sounds like a recipe for success. But Mulligan can't stay focused on any single character or relationship for longer than a few minutes, creating a cast that is so undefined and completely lacking in any kind of depth that it feels almost alien. Let's start with the titular character Mulligan. He's an overconfident moron who stumbles into saving humanity and is named the President of the United States after defeating the aliens. As far as the starting point for a character goes, this isn't that bad in my mind. An overconfident idiot is the perfect archetype for a comic relief character, but it doesn't work as well as a main character archetype in this case. Mulligan is so incredibly stupid that it made it difficult for me to root for him after just the first episode. Mulligan is inconsiderate, selfish, annoying, dumb, stupid, an idiot, dumb, a moron, stupid, and not to mention an idiot. I know there's a few repeats in there, but I cannot stress just how dumb this main character is. The decision to make Mulligan the main character of this show is one of the main reasons it doesn't work for me. In my mind, Tina Fey's character Dr. Braun should have been the main character, because she's easily the most grounded and relatable. In a world as chaotic as Mulligan's, it's really important to have a character the audience can relate to, and Mulligan is not that character. Tina Fey's character Dr. Braun has way more going on than any of the other characters in this entire show, but the show never uses this to its advantage. Mulligan is a show that leans into its own stupidity at every single opportunity, and to be clear, I'm a big fan of weird, stupid comedy. As I stated in the introduction of this video, I renewed my Netflix subscription to watch I Think You Should Leave, a show that also leans in to its own stupidity. Even 30 Rock is a show that leans into its own stupidity sometimes. But that's the key word in all of this. Sometimes. I Think You Should Leave's stupidity works comedically because it's a sketch comedy show that doesn't have to spend time developing characters or storylines. It really only has to develop the characters that it needs for the joke to work, which is a lot easier than developing an entire world of characters. 30 Rock's stupidity works comically because the characters are incredibly well defined, and their moronic outbursts always fit with their own character structures. This is why I always stress character development and depth in all of my reviews, because without it, the characters are just walking joke boxes that throw out whatever the writers think of. And I won't lie, I burst out laughing multiple times while watching Mulligan, but the amount of times I rolled my eyes at a joke or was just completely indifferent far outnumbers my actual laughs. It's clear there is a very funny team of writers working on this show, but it's also clear that these writers ignored the basics of character development in nearly every instance, with the one exception being Tina Fey's character. It's honestly baffling that this talented team could make such a massive mistake in the writing process. But that leads into my next point. This team is brand new to the world of animation, and it shows. There's been a stigma surrounding adult animation for a long time, with many thinking that it's a genre made up of shallow characters going through basic sitcom premises, accompanied by outlandish, irreverent, and/or edgy humor. For fans of adult animation, it's obvious that there is far more to the genre than just this broad generalization. But the creators of Mulligan have an exclusive background in live action and sketch comedy, no backgrounds in animation whatsoever, and it seems that they've been affected by this stigma. Other than the fact that it might have been harder to make this show in live action, there really is no reason for this show to be animated. The character designs are incredibly simple. Apart from the opening first episode, there aren't many instances where the animators really get to flex their skills, and everything is shot so flat and simply that it makes me think the creators didn't know how to take advantage of the medium. It's important as creators to acknowledge your strengths and weaknesses. If you're making an animated show, it would be beneficial to start from the ground floor with the help of someone who knows about the genre and the medium. A great example of this is another Netflix adult animated comedy from a few years back, F is for Family. F is for Family was created by Bill Burr and Michael Price, and it's very much a show that is about Bill Burr, his early life in the 1970s. But Bill Burr had the sense to work with someone who knew the world of animation very well. Michael Price has an extensive background in writing and producing animation. This collaboration of two very different kinds of creators is what makes F is for Family work, and it shows us why Mulligan doesn't work. It's clear to me that this show was made by people who had a fundamental misunderstanding of how to utilize animation for storytelling, character development, and frankly, every other facet of the medium. They seemingly just didn't get it. And Mulligan as a show is a complete anomaly. It has talented creators, talented voice actors, talented animators, and a talented team of writers who have in fact proven themselves in the past. But the show feels like the first attempt at an animated show by a pair of college students who aren't even studying animation. Mulligan feels like this because that's essentially what this show is. Animation and live-action entertainment are two fundamentally different forms of storytelling. They both have their strengths, weaknesses, they have their similarities of course, but just because you understand how sketch comedy works or live-action comedy works doesn't mean you'll understand how animation works, and vice versa. Again, it's all about understanding your strengths and your weaknesses as a creator. If you're a screenwriter and you want to write a novel, you can talk to other screenwriters and I'm sure they'll be really helpful. But if you really want to understand how to tell a story in that medium, it'd be beneficial to talk to someone who works in that medium consistently, like a novelist, for example. Animation and live action are the same way. They're both telling stories, but the construction to tell those stories is fundamentally different, and that's why you need someone with a background in it from the ground floor. Otherwise, it's gonna come out uneven and it's gonna cave in on itself. Mulligan honestly feels like the creators saw Homer Simpson and Peter Griffin and thought, oh, we need a crazy, goofy, lovable moron as our lead. That's how you make an adult animated show. But there is so much more to the process than that. It really is disappointing because, like I said, the premise for this show is really great. The execution is just abysmal. It really is a shame because I can see a version of this show in my head that works far better. A version where Tina Fey's character is the main character of the show and she's the voice of reason in this crazy new world. She's trying to make it a better place, but the idiots are in charge just like before, except this time it's more condensed and their stupidity is far more obvious. That show basically writes itself, but the creators didn't understand the medium they were working in. So the entire thing just gets bogged down in these dumb jokes coming out of even dumber characters that aren't set up in any way connected to a story that frankly isn't even worth mentioning because it's nothing. It genuinely is nothing. After watching all 10 episodes of Mulligan, I thought I would have more to say about the story and how the characters interacted and all this stuff that I would do for a regular show. But there is just no substance here. It is just a rough structure to hang all of these dumb characters and their dumb jokes on. It doesn't work at all. At its best, Mulligan is just okay. At its worst, it's unbearably annoying and amateurish. Mulligan is clearly a show that was ordered for the sole purpose of bolstering Netflix's catalog of adult animation, rather than being ordered because of the creator's background in the medium. The lesson learned from Mulligan is clear. If you are going to make an animated show, make sure you work with animators from the beginning, especially if you have no prior knowledge of the medium whatsoever. Now, I'm sure this lesson seems obvious to most people watching this video, but this is Netflix we're talking about. Netflix's approach to content recently, especially adult animated content, has been so goddamn stupid that I'm not sure if any success of a show on the platform can actually be attributed to Netflix and its marketing strategies. Good Netflix originals feel more like an accident now than an actual effort to put out something of quality. Seeing that Netflix logo next to a title should be a stamp of quality, but instead, it's an off-putting mark that most likely means that the show was a product of a boardroom full of executives who are making decisions based on what their interns tell them the analytics on the platform mean. It's not associated with quality anymore. It's associated with dumbfounding business decisions and consistently below average content. I'm not at all confident in the leadership at Netflix, and for that reason, I'm not renewing my Netflix subscription. If something gets released that looks interesting, I will happily renew my membership and check it out. But as long as Netflix is putting out garbage like Mulligan, I don't want anything to do with the platform. If I had to give Mulligan a score out of 10, I'm comfortable giving it probably a 2. There's a few laughs, a single good character, and a nice reminder that Dana Carvey is in fact alive and still working, which I didn't know he was still doing stuff. Apparently he's had a pretty successful career after Master of Disguise, so that's good. That's all I gotta say about Mulligan. Thanks very much for watching this video. I don't have a whole lot to say on the back end of this on the thanks for watching panel. This video was a lot of fun to make. Mulligan was not a lot of fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie, the 10 episodes really did feel like a slog. I wanted to say thank you though for all the support on my Inside Job video and my video on when Marge left Homer on The Simpsons. Those videos have been doing really well, especially the Inside Job video that has officially crossed 500,000 views, which is absolutely bonkers. And the channel has passed 7,000 subscribers. Again, absolutely bonkers. So thank you all for that. Thank you for all the support. If there's anything you want me to talk about, post it down in the comments below, as well as your thoughts on Netflix and on Mulligan. I try to read through all the comments. It's getting more difficult, which is, you know, blessing and a curse. It's nice to have more people showing up to videos, but it also means it's harder for me to get through all the comments. But I do make an effort to get through as many of them as I can, so don't be shy. Yours will hopefully not be overlooked. Thanks again for watching. My name's Mr. Cow, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.